Some environments don't destroy people. They remove the need to become anyone. And that changes everything, because humans are strange. We suffer in pain, but we also suffer in comfort, especially in comfort. In the 1960s, a scientist built a paradise for mice. Unlimited food, unlimited water, no predators, no disease, no competition, no danger. A perfect world. And yet, they collapsed. Not physically, psychologically, slowly, quietly, completely. This became known as the Calhoun Effect. But the terrifying part was never the mice. It was how familiar they looked, because modern life is starting to feel disturbingly similar. Everything is easier now. Food arrives instantly. Entertainment never ends. Silence barely exists. We can talk to thousands of people without leaving a room. Everyone is connected, yet nobody feels close. And deep down, most people can feel something slipping away. A strange emptiness. A quiet emotional decay. Not dramatic enough to panic over, but impossible to ignore. You wake up tired. Not from work, from repetition. You scroll without thinking, laugh without feeling, speak without saying anything real. Days blur together, then months, then years. And one day, you realize your life has become a waiting room, waiting for motivation, waiting for purpose, waiting to finally feel alive again. But the frightening part is this: you adapted to the numbness. That is what happened inside Calhoun's experiment. At first, the mice thrived. They multiplied rapidly. The colony exploded. Everything looked successful. But abundance created density. Density created stress, and stress changed behavior, not all at once. That is what makes it terrifying. Collapse rarely arrives loudly. It arrives quietly, in habits, in attention, in identity. The mice stopped protecting one another. Mothers abandoned their young. Fighting increased. Isolation increased. Some became violently aggressive. Others became completely passive. And then, a strange group appeared. Calhoun called them the beautiful ones. The beautiful ones did not fight. They did not compete. They did not explore. They spent all their time eating, sleeping, and grooming themselves. Perfect fur. Empty lives. They withdrew from reality completely. No ambition. No curiosity. No meaning. Only comfort. Only safety. Only passive existence. And eventually, they stopped reproducing. The colony began dying from the inside. Not because resources disappeared, but because purpose did. That is the part people misunderstand about human beings. We do not survive on survival alone. We need resistance, meaning, challenge, connection, a reason to move, a reason to suffer. Without it, something inside us starts shutting down. Look around. How many people are truly living? And how many are simply consuming? Consuming content, consuming dopamine, consuming distractions to avoid confronting themselves. Modern life has become incredibly efficient at removing friction. But friction was never the enemy. Friction gave shape to identity. The struggle to survive once forced people into reality, into community, into purpose. Now many people live inside endless stimulation, endless comfort, endless escape. And strangely, the more comfort increases, the less alive people feel. Because the human mind was not designed for constant pleasure. Pleasure without meaning becomes poison. That is why people can have everything and still feel hollow. A full stomach, a glowing screen, a warm bed, and still feel an unbearable loneliness they cannot explain. Because loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of meaning, and meaning cannot be consumed. It must be earned. This is why so many people feel exhausted all the time, not physically, spiritually. They are overstimulated, but emotionally starving. Every second is filled. Yet nothing feels memorable. Every desire is instantly answered. Yet satisfaction never arrives. The brain keeps searching, scrolling, clicking, escaping, hoping the next thing will finally fill the emptiness. But it never does, because the emptiness was never caused by lack of entertainment. It was caused by lack of depth, and depth requires discomfort. That is the contradiction modern society avoids. People want purpose, but avoid struggle. Want confidence, but avoid failure. Want connection, but avoid vulnerability. Want transformation, but avoid pain. Yet every meaningful part of life is hidden behind discomfort. Everything real asks something from you. Love asks risk. Growth asks sacrifice. Purpose asks responsibility, and most people have become trained to avoid all three. This is where the Calhoun Effect stops being an experiment and starts becoming a mirror, because the real danger was never overcrowding. It was behavioral collapse, a slow psychological surrender. The moment creatures stop engaging with life itself, and if you look carefully, you can already see it happening. People isolate themselves more than ever. Attention spans are collapsing. Relationships feel disposable. Identity becomes performance. Everyone is expressing themselves, yet nobody knows who they are. People curate personalities instead of building character. They chase visibility instead of meaning, validation instead of connection, stimulation instead of peace. And underneath all of it, a quiet fear remains. What if this life is not actually living? What if distraction has become our entire personality? What if comfort is slowly erasing us? Because there is a difference between being safe and being alive. The mice were safe, completely safe. And that safety slowly destroyed every instinct that gave life meaning. Humans are more complex, but not immune. We also drift when nothing demands our soul. We also decay when life becomes passive. We also lose ourselves when every discomfort can be escaped instantly. That is why some people feel most alive during difficult periods of life. Not because pain is beautiful, but because struggle pulls them into reality. It forces presence, forces growth, forces meaning. And maybe that is why modern loneliness feels so confusing. People are surrounded by convenience, yet starving for significance. Surrounded by noise, yet desperate for silence. Surrounded by people, yet emotionally invisible. The world keeps accelerating. But internally, many people feel frozen, stuck in loops. Wake up, scroll, work, consume, sleep, repeat. A cycle so common it barely feels tragic anymore. And that is the tragedy. When emotional emptiness becomes normal, people stop questioning it. They stop imagining anything deeper. They stop believing life could feel different. The beautiful ones did the same thing. They adapted to emptiness. And adaptation can become a prison, because humans can normalize almost anything. Even disconnection, even numbness, even a life that quietly drains the soul. But there is still something important hidden inside all of this, something hopeful. The opposite of the Calhoun Effect is not suffering. It is meaning. Meaning through challenge. Meaning through creation. Meaning through real connection. Meaning through becoming someone. Not performing. Not consuming. Becoming. Because the human spirit wakes up when it is needed. When it risks something. Builds something. Protects something. Loves something deeply enough to suffer for it. That is when life stops feeling empty. Not when pleasure increases. When presence increases. And maybe that is the deeper warning hidden inside the experiment. A perfect life can destroy imperfect creatures. Because perfection removes the very struggle that gives existence weight. Without resistance, people drift. Without meaning, people decay. Without purpose, even paradise becomes unbearable. So maybe the question is not whether modern life is comfortable. It clearly is. The real question is this. What parts of yourself are disappearing because of it? Your attention? Your curiosity? Your courage? Your ability to sit in silence? Your ability to feel wonder? Maybe the scariest collapse does not happen all at once. Maybe it happens slowly, quietly, behind glowing screens, behind routines, behind distraction, until one day, you look at your life and realize you survived everything, but never truly lived. And maybe that realization is the beginning of waking up.